Hey, how's it going? Let's talk about what it's like eating tons of soy for 2 months. First, I should probably give you some background on what I normally eat. Basically, whatever. Like, whatever I feel like eating at the time or when I'm hungry. So, I'm not the most unhealthy of people. I tend to fluctuate between 11 and 12 stone, which is like 160 to 180 pounds. I think Ivy got that right. Might be 150 to 170. I don't know. We don't do pounds here. So, sometimes I eat really healthily for a couple days, and sometimes I'll eat like a full bag of Doritos for a meal. And sometimes I'll eat one really big meal a day and nothing else. So, my metabolism is apparently really good because it's compensated pretty well for the fact that I'm not very good at this whole food thing. Back when I was an engineer, I tried to get really healthy for a while. I basically ate nothing but fruits and a couple of specific vegetables, like peppers, kidney beans, and just lentils and spinach. And that was about it. That was just all I ate for, like, every meal of the day. And I got super healthy for a while. I lost tons of weight. I felt really good. And then I went out for fish and chips with some friends, like once. And as soon as I got home, I immediately had to have a nap for, like, 2 hours. And I realized that what I was doing was I was being so rigid in exactly what I was eating that I was training me body to be unprepared for anything remotely fatty or sugary, and it just messed with me. So I kind of started eating normally afterwards and sort of lived in fear of going on any kinds of diet of any kind afterwards. And apart from whatever amounts of soy that you get in normal people food, I haven't intentionally eaten anything soy-based for most of my life. I've never really eaten anything vegan-y or tofu-y before. When I was about 22, I went in to get a blood test because I was really worried about testosterone stuff at the time, and my results came back really high for both and that. And, oh, that's actually why you know, I'm going to go bold in the next 12 to 15 minutes because, that's what having high testosterone can do, although it's disputable. But I like to think that's why. I love bringing this up, you know. Compared to like 78 of the human male population are low betas, and yet I look like this. It's almost as if endocrinology is a little bit more complicated than what Davis Rini and his science advisor looked up on the internet in 5 minutes. Speaking of Davis, he actually left a comment on the last video that I want to read out now. God, you re-bitchy like a woman. Imagine it being almost 40 years old, like that close to the halfway point of the cosmic human miracle that is your life, the one that you get, and spending it arguing in the comments of YouTube videos on the internet. I want to feel sorry for Davis, but it's just too funny. Actually, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna check if it's not, like, a parody account or something. Yeah, it's real. The fact I had to check to see that that was just a parody of Davis probably says quite a lot. You know, when I came up with that character that was sort of making fun of people like him, but especially him, a couple of years ago when he's running around with Oswald, I thought, that's a bit much. They re not that silly. But no, as of 2 months ago, I checked Davis' channel, and there he is looking like a slightly microwaved cipher from the Matrix reviewing a sword that he bought online for, like $500. Oh yeah, I bet I look so badass right now. Do you want some cantaloupe? I cut up a lot of melons making this video. Hi Davis, by the way. I know you re gonna watch this. So, oh, Maybe leave a better complaint in the comments this time. That said, the testosterone results I got were years ago now. I was maybe thinking of getting, like, a before and after test when I was doing this experiment, but doctors are really, really busy now, especially thanks to the policies that people like Paul voted for, and I didn't want to waste more of their time to get extra research done on a YouTube video. That felt kind of disrespectful of their time. So, for the soy boy diet, I basically took everything that was meat, eggs, or dairy and replaced it with some kind of, soy-based equivalent. So, I had a lot of soy sages, a lot of soy jurs. That's not a real thing. And tons of soy milk. I don't actually drink that much milk normally. I think milk's rubbish, but in coffee I have milk, so I replaced that with soy milk. It tasted really nice, by the way. That was the first thing I noticed. Soy milk has a really, nice taste to it. I avoided all the vegetarian foods that are made of stuff like corn. All the corn food is like some kind of fungus and also egg albumin that's been cultivated a certain way. Apparently, it tastes good, but it sounds awful, and there's no soy in it to me knowledge, so I ignored all of that. I also obviously just ate, regular tofu that I'd bought and cooked different ways. The initial barrier to tofu, by the way, is taste. Tofu in its nascent state is tasteless, smells a little bit weird, and wet. You have to drain it or press it to get all of the water out. You have to put in a lot more effort just to get an actual taste out of it. However, people usually use that as a way of comparing it to meat and showing that it's less good, but actually, after doing some looking into this over the course of this stuff, I've realized that that's not quite a fair comparison. Like, all the meat that you buy in a store has been flavored or processed in some way to give it a sense of taste. You can't just cut a bacon-sized slice off a pig and fry it. That will probably not taste that great. Anything that's been processed or cured, that's what you tasting in the meat when you eat it. You not actually just. There isn't a nascent good taste to animals, it turns out. We have to make it taste all right. With the sausages, the first thing I noticed was that they were incredibly similar to regular sausages because the actual meat wasn't the thing you were tasting in sausages. You were actually tasting all of the fun herbs and stuff that had been mixed in with it. And that stuff tastes nice even when there's no actual meat involved, it turns out. So I had a pretty okay time on this. Something I got really into eating right away was I would just cut up some tofu and microwave it with these chili kidney beans that you can buy at the co-op, and it would just eat that for a meal, and it was really quick to make and also it was really, really filling. So I had a good time with that. I wouldn't cook that for someone else. That's that to be rubbish. But I got into eating tons of that right away because it was so quick and simple and it satisfied the tofu requirements for this diet. I mostly stuck to it pretty fine. I had a couple of times where I broke it on purpose because I was eating with, family for Christmas or New Year, and I couldn't be bothered to, bring a soy chicken to Christmas dinner. Actually, I think the most disturbing thing about me family was how when I told them about this thing they were like, yeah, that's something he would do. My family have come to expect this sort of thing from me and it's a little bit worrying, to be honest. My initial starting weight was 13 stone and 1 pound, but that was while I was carrying a Canon Con 100 with a 24-105mm lens, which is actually pretty hefty, but I really wanted to do the shot where I was looking down at the scale while I was weighing myself. This is my mother's bathroom, by the way. I don't own a scale. What am I? A functioning adult. To get me actual weight, I decided to just weigh me camera again on the same scale, which didn't work because it's not heavy enough, so we weighed it on a kitchen scale. All right, 2543 grams. That's 5.6 pounds. 183 take away 5.6 is 177.4 pounds, which is a lot for me, actually. After doing the diet for 2 months, I'm not going to give you all that rigmarole again. I weighed 11 stone and 2 pounds, so 156 pounds. So eating a bunch of soy made me lose 23 pounds without having to do anything. That's a pretty significant difference for just a slight change in what I was eating. Imagine what a difference it would have made if I'd bothered to exercise. In all the really compromising photos I took over the course of this diet, I didn't notice any marked change in me actual shape. I didn't become more effeminate in any way that was measurable, and I didn't to grow breasts any larger than the ones that I already have. I also didn't to get significantly fitter or have that much more energy than I normally had either. So it turns out that soybeans aren't magical. Basically, it proved exactly what everyone expected this would prove in the most boring and straightforward way possible. It turns out that soybeans are just a kind of bean that you can eat, and it doesn't make that much of a difference. Great. Hooray. This is why I did to bring this up much in the main measured response video, by the way, because it made no difference. There was, nothing really worth bringing up, so I thought I'd to save it for this little thing. At the very least, I didn't become weirdly airbrushed or turn red like Alex Jones' supplements seemed to do for him. Watch out for that, by the way, Paul. I think by far the most substantive change you've noticed is an increased prevalence in what Reddit likes to call the coast poop, which is you go to the bathroom, and then when you wipe, you discover you didn't really have to because it came out in one solid, contiguous, beautiful piece. I wouldn't call that a coast poop, by the way, Reddit. I would call that when you, take a shit and you don't need to flush because it went down the drain all on its own. I don't think tofu is that much healthier than meat. I mean, obviously processed meats have been linked to an increase in cancer risk, but with the kind of meat you can get at a butcher, I don't think there's a huge difference health-wise. That said, soy milk is way better than regular milk. Regular milk is garbage. Don't even get me started, got myself started. Milk is, just absolutely rubbish. Humans have been lactose intolerant for most of our history. The ability to drink milk is something we only really developed 7,500 years ago, and even then, tons of humans are still lactose intolerant. It's ridiculous. And then it still had shit in it that would be, poisonous to drink. It made people really sick anyway until Lois Pasteur came along and invented pasteurization. I wonder where he got that name from. And then it was finally mostly safe for some humans to drink milk. The fact that we still drank milk prior to the 1860s, where we haven't developed a way of making it not poisonous, speaks volumes as to both the rubbishness of milk and to why humans are just rubbish. Soy milk, on the other hand, is low in fat, high in protein and vitamins, contains zero cholesterol. It tastes great in me coffee, which is all I drink milk for anyway, because milk is weird. And it's not full of estrogen. By the way, did I mention that regular milk is full of estrogen? not, fakey fake plantophytoestrogen, mammal estrogen, the kind that affects mammals. The cows make milk for baby calves, right? House that for hormonal havoc, Kayla. I don't know why I'm getting so annoyed about this. I think the main thing this taught me was to bother to think about what I'm eating. Having to actually measure what's in food and look at labels has caused me to think more about what I'm actually eating, which I really wasn't before. I've never counted calories. I've never thought about fiber, carbohydrates, fat, protein, anything like that before. And the modicum of research I had to do for making these videos has caused me to go, well, if I actually thought about this just a little bit, I could vastly improve, like, the actual state of my body. So there has kind of been a positive effect for this, but it's nothing to do with the food itself. It's all just been the lessons I've learned over the course of trying it. So I wouldn't really recommend the soy diet to anyone. There's no spectacular effects, but I would recommend looking into what you eat and how to improve it. I'm actually really obsessed with responses to the Super Size Me documentary. Like Morgan Spurlock, made a couple of, quite important methodological mistakes. So tons of shills for the fast food industry or, weird paleo diet people have come out with these semi-legitimate criticisms in order to push their own personal agenda. I think it's hilarious. There's this great documentary called Fat Head, which I've seen more than most actual films, that basically, takes a couple of the legitimate problems with Super Size Me and turns them into, just and here's why you should eat fucking steak every day. That topic is actually on the big board of weird niche subjects that I'd love to make a video about at some point. So, mention in the comments if you'd like me to do something like that. That's actually something that I've noticed with YouTube skepticism for a while now. No one's bothered to mine the area of health and diet science yet, which is bizarre because it's such a fantastic thing to delve into. Nutritionist is not a legally protected term, right? So you have Kayla Daniels everywhere, and they saying stuff that's really easy to make fun of and debunk. We've got all kinds of stuff like that, and yet we so busy talking about, moon landing conspiracy theories or feminists when there's this whole thing that we could be doing. I think that's great. I'm also going to look into a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Body, which I've heard is actually fairly similar to the kind of diet I adopted a couple years ago when I got pretty healthy and then had a weird experience with some fatty foods. Apparently his diet, suggests some kind of cheat day where you eat a ton of calories and fat and stuff to sort of reset your metabolism every now and then. I'd love to have a version of the stuff I ate then that actually works properly and lets me occasionally eat fatty things without having to have a nap afterwards. I think I might start going to the gym more after this. Like I joked earlier, imagine what it would have been like if I'd bothered to exercise, and I actually quite liked imagining that. So, I'll give that a shot. Anyway, thanks for watching this quick update on all the weird stuff I've been putting into me mouth. Normally at the end of me videos, I used to do readings of the credits, but then unfortunately too many lovely people decided to help fund me making weird stuff like this, so the credits started being super long. It's actually starting to affect the length and pacing of my videos to a degree that I think is not good for the videos themselves. So I'm going to change it over. This and one more time I'm going to do readings of the credits just so everyone who wants to be in them has a chance to. And I can correct if I get the names wrong this time. and in future I'm going to have different rewards for backers at that level. So I'm going to do streams of me editing the videos and some other stuff like that. If there's other stuff you think I should do for backers like that, please let me know. But in the meantime, it's a thanks for allowing me to afford to spend the time, effort, and money doing ridiculous stuff like this. I if I didn't get that name right or any others for that matter, please let me know and I'll issue a correction in the last video where I do the credits. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Seriously, thank you all so much. It's absolutely amazing. I'm still shocked. I mean, I set up the reward where I read names out because I thought like 6 people would ever do it, and here I am with too many that I can't really do readings of the credits anymore without adding like 10 minutes to a video. It's amazing.